So that asks the second part of the question, which is if you could dream up your idea of a dream high school, let's say, to where creativity is prominent, what would that look like? What would be
Oh, okay.
involved in
No,
it?
well, good question. Number one, the professional culture in that school would all have to have advanced creative capacity. Number one, and you know what? They'd have to have developed their own creative capacities to a very mature kind of level. And along with that, be a sound communicator, interactive, and sort of caring. All the attributes you want of a teacher or somebody working with a young person, right? So that's a given right there. So I'd have to hire somebody special for this. I'd really want to screen my staff, that kind of thing. Number two, the whole professional culture and the parent culture would have to be highly collaborative. Now, collaborative is not cooperation. I mean, look at Randy Nelson from Pixar when he talks about plussing and the difference between cooperation and collaboration. I'm talking about true collaboration where egos are there at the door, we're flexible thinkers, and we all contribute to to this broader sort of thing. So highly collaborative. I think, too, the other attributes of the professional culture are all the attributes I described of the 7 pillars of creative development. So collaborative development, competency or a level of maturity, self-instigative, they're all self-starters, they problem set, they're investigative by nature, they're highly generative people, they like to experiment, and they can sustain this over time. So that's the environment, the professional environment that we come in. We could do this in a field. All it needs is a field. It doesn't matter. And now if we can have the biggest school with all the latest high-tech stuff, it wouldn't matter. Give me a staff or a professional culture like that, and then we can go at it. As far as the curriculum and content goes, this is the big challenge. When you have mandated state or provincial or national curricula, that's always a challenge. How do we get through this juggernaut of consumption and to actually create a practice, right? It's not an either-or proposition. You need discipline competency. You need something to create out of. You have to have. So you go to the pure democratic route, and I cover this in the book. I mean, there's a piece on the Sudbury Valley schools. There's unschooling. Carlo Ritchie writes about unschooling, where the child is completely left to do as they please, to go forward, and then they will call on adult when they need them. Okay, that's one way to go. I believe kind of in a that you have to understand the child where they're at developmentally, as far as creative development goes. So when we look at creative development, we have to look at where they are as far as the ability to instigate, to problem set, not problem avoid, problem set. We learn to problem avoid in traditional culture, right? I don't want them to report to me. I want them to investigate. Difference between a reporter and an investigator, okay? I want them to generate ideas, but I won't generate an idea. And I'll tell you, my graduate classes of teachers, I'll tell you, one of the first speed bombs is building trust amongst one another. They will not put up their hand or generate any ideas if they know they're going to be invalidated, because that's what they've come out of, right? So I have to build a statusless society, a culture. John Sweeney, Innovation at the Speed of Laughter, his book talks about statusless cultures, okay? Those aren't my ideas. So I would want to have a statusless culture, one where I have all kinds of discipline, resources and competency there, and I want a balance between discipline competency and creative practice. So right now we have a preponderance of discipline consumption and discipline competency and the measurement of that, right? So we need to bring that into balance. So would I have a completely laissez-faire school? Probably not. I would have give some discipline fuel. Let's find out about the area, and then let's make out of it. So it would be probably largely project-based, definitely mastery or anecdotally assessed. You don't need a grade system. I mean, it's irrelevant when you think about it. Grades, what does it do? It's just a peer comparison. A peer comparison. Does that mean I have to put a grade on it to tell you how you're doing on something? No. I think the teacher becomes more of a coach, a conceptual coach. So look at a pro athlete. You think in the Super Bowl coming up, Colin, I'm a San Francisco 49ers and a Green Bay Packers fan. I'm going to alienate a lot of people with those choices. But anyways, so Colin Kaepernick, quarterback for San Francisco 49ers, when he comes off the field on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, do you think Harbaugh is going to go to him and say, Colin, you got an A on that last series of downs. No, he's going to talk to him about, hey, this guy they're playing his own defense and blah, blah, blah. He's going to coach him. They're going to have a dialogue about in situ, right? That's a kind of assessment. So you get into a dialogic assessment, and I know formative assessment's very big, but I want to get right into dialogic assessment, self-initiated projects or whatever, and a high level of validation in a statusless environment. Those are some of the attributes of the environment, and it would vary from level to level, depending on the age and whatever. As you get higher up in age, you get into discipline density and discipline complexity. You know, when you're dealing with biology and mathematics and that. Here's the thing with that stuff. A lot of people figure that creative practice is in the arts. You know, hey, mathematics has incredible creative potentials. Sciences, chemistry, physics, biology, incredible potentials for students to enable creative practice within those domains. And so you have to have the level of professional culture that can support it, and the balance between discipline, knowledge, analytical kind of practice versus creative practice. So that's how I would frame my school. And that's really broad.
It's great. It's brilliant, and maybe one day that would be included in maybe your revised version of your book.
Well, that's interesting to say that. I'm thinking this book's going to be obsolete before, you know. I know I have a few more schools on my radar that I want to visit and that kind of thing. And plus how these schools evolve. I mean, look at this. The Ideas Academy in Sheboygan, Wisconsin was part of the Etude School Group, which originally as a charter were very, very much arts-based or art-centered. And now they've evolved into the Ideas Academy, which is innovation, design, engineering, arts, and science. So it went from art to a much broader, pervasive application across the disciplines. I love to see that. That's why they caught my attention. And they're a great contribution. I really like what they've done and what they're trying to do in a public system too, which is a real challenge. A real challenge.
It really is. It really is. Well, thank you, Robert Kelly, the author of Educating for Creativity, A Global Conversation. I really appreciate you being here. And I can't wait to talk to you in the future. I'm sure we will be talking as you continue on this path to promoting and getting other people to understand creativity, especially in education. Keep up the great work.
Hey, thanks so much, Carlos. Appreciate it. I look forward to reconnecting too.